click the disconnect button. Quit crying about it.
I bow down to you, all important.
No, you don't need to do none of that. Just don't
all
challenge me.
important one.
Just don't challenge me. That's all you got to do.
This was a super fun video to record. This unrighteous individual had joined the God Ain't Real room and tried to prove his position. And I was watching a video on YouTube or something, and I got called into this, and oh man, did I elucidate the truth to this guy. He already knew everything we discussed. He's just been rejecting the truth in his unrighteousness, and it was revealed through this video. Plus, Ignostic and a few others made some great points about the Grim Reaper paradox, so make sure to stick around towards the end where they'll cover that. Thank you so much for watching the video. Please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you this evening.
Taco's dead.
Yo, Taco.
You want to talk to him about the reverse kalam?
Who?
Taco's dead.
What are you talking about?
You want to talk to him about the reverse kalam?
Who?
Me.
The one with the name?
GG. Who's this guy? You
I'm
Christian?
a person. Yeah, I'm a Christian.
So do you reject the self-evident truth of our shared naturalistic, atheistic reality that's been revealed to all of sound mind through both natural and special revelation in an undeniable way?
I would suppose, sure, I reject some of the terms that you use to describe that. Although you
You're going to have to talk louder.
So I don't know. You kind of cut in and out, so I don't know exactly what you said, but yeah, I would probably deny some of the adjectives that you used there.
So I asked if you reject, well, it's undeniable, right? But I asked if you reject the self-evident truth of our shared naturalistic, atheistic reality.
Oh, I see.
That's been revealed to all of sound mind through both natural and special revelation.
You're doing a play on William Lane Craig's cadence.
You caught me.
I would say I reject the self-evident. I reject that reality is self-evident. The axiom of like identity and consciousness have to be self-evident because I would presume them in this argument. But I would not say naturalistic. Maybe not the ideology, but nature. I would not say atheism is self-evident necessarily. Yeah, so I would reject, again, some of the adjectives that you used in that.
Okay. So, on the atheistic portion, that sounds like what you're rejecting. Obviously, you accept the naturalistic, because given you didn't reject that there and say, I've seen something supernatural or something come from nothing, you accepted the naturalistic portion. So, we'll go to the atheistic portion. So, have you ever seen a god?
Have I ever seen a god?
Correct.
No, I have not, but I would say it's within the nature of a god to not necessarily be observable to something in our dimension. Like, I've never seen...
Welcome to atheism, brother.
I don't reject the existence of courts. I was
saying welcome to atheism, brother, because you accept the naturalistic, atheistic reality portion, and then there's no question there, unless you don't think anything can be self-evident.
I do think things can be self-evident, but I don't think that induction.
There's no issues there.
But I don't think that induction is the. I don't think that induction is the only way to generate proof.
Then you have no justification to reject your natural and special revelations that have been, revealed to you. If you were to reject them at this point, you would simply be rejecting the truth in your unrighteousness because you want sin and evil to exist outside of a conceptual nature. And you want to be a main character in the battle of good versus evil, right? That's all you're shooting for here now.
Is it? Why? Yes. What are you basing that on?
Well, you're a Christian, right?
You just seem to be asserting things. Yeah, so what exactly are you basing this on? Because I said that...
Yeah. Well, your ideology and what your goals are with your religion, induction, deduction, reading.
Yeah, religion, deduction, induction, reading. Let's go.
Yeah, talking to people, just standard reflection, much philosophical discourse. What else? Lots of methods.
So when I engage in action to convince people
of acquiring knowledge, lots of methods of acquiring knowledge, I should say.
So, what exactly is your conclusion here? Maybe I'm dumb. I'm just not following.
Yeah. So it seems to be the case that you already know the truth, that no gods exist, and you're simply rejecting the truth in your unrighteousness. You just want sin and evil to exist outside of conceptual nature, and you're trying to spread that vile incoherence when you already know the truth. But you, deep down, simply want to be a main character in the battle of good versus evil. And that's why you're rejecting the truth, what you already know to be true, because you really badly want to be a main character.
I see. Well, I mean, you are able to have your own psychiatric understanding of my inner workings. I guess I can't really dispute that because you're making some sort of an appeal that's based on nothing. So, sure, everything that you say can be true to you. It's pretty subjective what you're saying. Yeah, I have nothing to dispute that you believe that anyone who tries to get knowledge outside of basic induction is some sort of like main character in their head trying to force some ideology into their brain. But and it's kind of irrelevant. What's the reverse column? This whole thing that you just said was essentially
I said
irrelevant.
induction and deduction earlier.
So I said, yeah, I know. You said a few words.
I said induction and deduction, and you said, no, you can gain knowledge from deduction. You would gain seemingly necessary truths from deduction.
Yeah, you can prove abstractions through deduction. That's correct.
Well, no,
I don't think anyone would deny that.
You can't prove an abstraction, really.
An abstraction.
Like you can do math, right, which I guess is an abstraction, but if you're talking about a concept like a god or something, which would be an abstraction as well, but would be a different type of abstraction.
Why would it be a different? No, I mean, okay. Hold on. A
God claim. Listen, so a God claim is different than a system of mathematics, right? They are not equivalent. Once again, they are not equivalent. Now,
sure,
that would be a false equivalency if you were to compare those.
I'll just concede that for the sake, but you at least agree that certain abstractions can be deduced, which cannot necessarily be induced, or at least they must be deduced before they can be induced. Something like math is something that we had to deduce, and it is an abstraction.
Well, we created a system. So mathematics, we created a system, and we use it. Right? Do you agree?
Yeah, but it's not whimsical. Otherwise, it wouldn't function as well as it does. So I would say.
Are you implying that it exists in reality, and you're a Platonist?
Am I implying that math exists in reality? Of course, math exists in reality.
All right, I'm going to prove to you it doesn't. So if you've got two trees in front of you, where is the number 2?
Yeah. So the symbols that we use to describe math.
Hey. Answer my question. So if you have two trees in front of you, where is the number 2?
Yeah, so the symbol 2 doesn't exist, but the number 2 would be in reference to the separate entities of trees that we see.
You agree, you're a nominalist, even though you are going to act like you're not. You already know the truth.
Okay, alright. Are you done screaming?
No, I was just excited because you destroyed your own position there.
I see. Anyway, so the symbols that we use to describe the two separate entities that we can see in front of us, those being trees, yeah, those are man-made. I'll agree with that. The same way that, linguistics is man-made, but we have a common understanding of what I'm referring to, or I'll just call them reference, based on the fact that things exist outside of those reference, and that's why this system works so well. So when I say the word rock, we all imagine, ideally,
so this platonic realm is totally unfalsifiable, uncausally related, not spatio-temporally located. It seems to be nothing more than making special pleading for a made-up thing, right? So I don't think we can go anywhere in this discussion because I've already demonstrated to you that you already know. Actually, you demonstrated that you already know that math is just a system, and numbers don't exist in some platonic realm, even though you're going to pretend that they do.
Symbols do not exist.
Now,
all right, yeah.
We're
Keep
not
going.
gonna
Keep
budge on that, unfortunately,
Keep
and that's
spewing.
gonna
Yeah.
be a
Sure.
long, arduous conversation, not at all related to the reverse kalam, which is what you want to talk about. So, I think
is the conversation at the reverse kalam also going to be you
on
jumping up and down excitedly and yelling every time you think you've proven something without actually talking about it? Or are we going to have some actual proof coming from your end?
I am, my friend, I am the premier atheist presuppositional apologist. Ask anybody in this room. I am going to jump up and down, right and left. I'm going to do
I can basically hear you kicking your feet under your desk.
I'm going to do backflips, man.
Yeah. Sure. Are you capable of doing a backflip?
I can do 3 before I'm too tired.
I want to see a video of that.
No.
Okay. Well, then I can't assume it. I have to induce it for it to be true.
It's logically possible, though.
Logically possible, but it's not
also nomologically possible. It's also possible within our realm of physics and understanding of the universe.
Sure, of course it's possible. I've seen other people do it. That doesn't mean that you can do it. That's not necessary.
But you're saying it's possible.
Sure, explain. Yeah, I'm not denying it. I don't know who you are. You sound like a very masculine man.
Now, we'll go into the reverse kalam. So we'll start out with the watchmaker analogy. So the watchmaker analogy goes like this. So imagine you're walking along a beach and you see the sand and you see the water. What is sand made of?
On the tiny rocks. Probably, I mean, we could abstract it. We could, devolve it down to atoms, but let's just say, for the sake of simplicity, a ton of tiny rocks.
At the beach, it's probably quartz or silica or something like that, right?
Yeah, minerals of some sort. Sure.
Ground-up rocks, right? From erosion, right?
Right, correct.
Now, the water. What is the chemical composition of water?
H2O.
And that what does that represent?
Represents a singular hydrogen atom, 2 oxygen atoms.
And how did that form?
I'm assuming, I'm not a chemistry major, unfortunately.
Some natural process would be fair to say, though, right?
Sure.
So, it would be fair to say that everything that you've ever seen that's been formed, I guess every natural thing that you've ever seen has been formed through natural processes from pre-existing stuff, right? Would that be something fair to say?
Sure.
Okay.
Except you'd have to somehow explain either that we exist infinitely, or that the first thing was also formed through a natural process.
We're still in the analogy, dude. I'm just talking about your experience right now.
Yeah, but my experience doesn't mean shit when it comes to truth.
Yeah, but we're talking about your experience, right? And in your experience, that's why you knew that, right? 100% of the stuff that you've ever seen in this earth, on this earth, has been stuff coming from stuff through natural processes, right? Now we'll go to the.
I'm assuming
we'll cover the. Wait, we're going to cover.
I'm assuming the natural process, though. I'm assuming the natural process because if we're going to completely, because I tried to.
Well, there's more to this. We're not even to the next part of the analogy yet.
So we're assuming the natural process because I tried to go away from my experience and you shut me down. So I'm going to help you siphon your
argument. Yeah, because this is an inductive argument, so we're going to your experience, right?
I've never seen that natural process. So actually, in my experience, I don't know if they formed from natural processes. In my experience, I'm just assuming that they formed from natural processes. I've never observed one hydrogen atom bonds to 2 oxygen atoms in whatever natural process way. I'm just assuming that to be the case. I've only ever seen water.
Yeah, now you're just obfuscating. So you have the knowledge. You already demonstrated. Hang on, Sap. Listen for a second. You already demonstrated you had the knowledge. There's no going back once you've already demonstrated you have the knowledge. Now.
No, I was amending my statement.
Knowledge is half the battle, dude.
Now, you continue walking along the beach, and you see in the sand a round silver object about the size of your palm, right? The center of your palm, and it's got like a leather strap on it. What's your first thought? What do you think that is?
A silver object with a leather strap on it? I don't know, like a mace? Some beauty.
No, it's about the size of your palm.
Oh, size of my palm? I don't know, maybe I'm just stupid. What is that? I don't know, what is it? Is it a test?
a round metal object, right? Metallic-looking, silverish. It's got some markings on it, and then
Oh, it's a coin?
okay, close enough. It's so you go over and you pick up the watch, right? But
It's a watch, okay.
But the purpose,
Yeah,
I'm not very good at describing watches, I guess. But the purpose of this analogy this part of the analogy was to show that even in an analogy, it's self-evident to you the difference between something that's natural and something that's created. Now,
Sure.
you know some of the background in watches, I'm sure. So what's a watch created out of?
Metal.
And where do you get this
whatever
metal?
material. You get it through mining, from rocks, from the deep earth, whatever process.
So that metal got there through some natural geological processes, right?
Yeah, I'm assuming.
All right. Now, that's all temporal. All of it. Stuff coming from stuff, people creating it. If you look at the animal kingdom, there's maybe a few examples of other animals creating tools, right? Anything that's created is created by something with a mind that exists within space-time and is operating within the bounds of space-time, right? And so they're not like pulling stuff out of nothing. They're creating stuff from stuff. And that stuff, before they turned it into something, was formed through natural processes. And you've acknowledged all of this at this point. So based on where we're at in the conversation, I think it would be fair to say that you do agree, even if you tried to obfuscate for a moment earlier, but you do agree that everything that is observed to exist arises from pre-existing stuff, right?
Everything that I've observed, yeah.
Okay, so go ahead and pull up the reverse column in the side chat. You've just agreed to premise 1.
Sure. I have a feeling that this is going to rely... Oh, there we go.
Yeah, it's got the 20 purple eggplant
20
emojis.
ding-dongs on it. Everything that is observed to exist arises from pre-existing stuff.
All right, so you agreed to that. So premise 2, the universe exists. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I tend to agree with that.
So this is an inductive argument. So this is saying that the conclusion is likely, not certain. So you can still disagree, right? You can still reject the conclusion. But if you do, I'm going to ask for your justification because you've accepted both of the premises. So do you accept the conclusion?
I think you could categorize the universe as different from the other stuff you're talking about because the universe is definitionally all that is.
Let me clarify so there's no confusion, so that everything's on the table. So when we say the universe exists, we're talking about this local representation of all the stuff, right? This instance of space-time and everything that's a part of it, right? Premise 2 is, once again, the universe exists, but it's this stuff, right? This present instance of stuff, right? This is an amplitive argument. So it's taking you from this instance of stuff to the prior instance of whatever, right? And so it's going from this instance of space-time to the quantum field, right? And so, or the prior state of that stuff, right? And so...
thinking that the universe is not necessarily the same category of thing, because when you were describing, like, the watch, and you were describing all natural things, you were talking about...
Are you saying it's a composition division fallacy?
I'm not aware of that fallacy, so I don't know a lot of, like, the specific, like, debate terms and rules. I've been away from this for a little bit, but maybe I am, so let me just...
So, all of this stuff, this instance of space-time, is the quantum field. This is the stuff from the quantum field.
I see.
So quantum field is the prior instance of this stuff. But so all of this... At least so when I'm saying the universe exists, I'm saying all of this stuff exists in this state right now.
But how do we know? But aren't you just presuming that the universe arose via tunneling? Isn't that just a presumption?
No.
And we don't have... Alright, then how do we know that the quantum field was what existed before?
None of that matters to the argument. I'm asking if you accept... None of that matters to the argument. I shouldn't even have gone there. I would just... Yeah. You're jumping... I normally don't jump ahead that far. But, well, at least until you accept the argument, which you will, or you'll be dishonest. Yeah, who knows? But with that being said,
I'm not trying to be dishonest. I'm just trying to say that.
I'm just saying. But with actually everybody that I've had a conversation with has accepted the argument, right? But it's taking you from the local instance of space-time and saying that it's likely that this stuff that exists, that 100% of our experience is stuff coming from stuff, came from other stuff. So this 100% of stuff that we've seen coming from other stuff, in this 100% of stuff, came from another instance of stuff. But it's all still the same stuff.
Sure, where did the other stuff come from?
No, it's the same. Look, let's say I got 3 balls at t equals 0.
No, I understand what you're saying. So
Wait, hang on.
you're going to say it's an infinite regress of stuff.
Hang on. No, I'm not even going to say that. I'm walking you through something. Give me a second. So say I got 3 balls at t equals 0. Mm-hmm. I got 3 balls at t equals 1 and 3 balls at t equals 2. How many balls do I have total? Throughout time, how many balls have I had?
3.
3. No matter how. Why? I thought I had 3 at 0, 1, and 2. At each of those increments, I had 3 balls. Why don't I have 9 balls? Because it's the same set of balls.
Persists through time.
Right. So now think about it this way. The universe consists of all things. All things is 3 balls.
Okay.
So where did the balls come from in t equals 2? They're the same balls from t equals 1. They didn't come from, come from anywhere. That's why the question is flawed. The 3 balls at t equals 3 didn't come. They were there the whole time. The moment of t equals 3, that's an arbitrary measurement. The ball has been there the whole time.
Yeah,
we're just giving a measurement to it.
So how far back does this t equals go to? That's what I'm saying.
That's an arbitrary measurement. Just focus on the fact that there are 3
balls. Not an
balls.
arbitrary measurement. I don't believe so. Can you answer the question?
No. How far back is arbitrary? What I'm saying is the 3 balls is the universe. All of reality consists of those 3 balls.
I agree with you that stuff exists.
So the question of where did the balls come from is nonsensical.
I didn't ask that question.
What's that? Yes, you did. That's what we're talking about. You're asking about where did the stuff come from? It didn't come from anywhere.
Well, but doesn't premise one say that? No, but your own premise says that things come from something else.
No, it arises from
pre-existing that's a synonym.
Stuff.
Come on. That's a synonym. Arises and comes from are functional synonyms of each other. Okay, where did the pre-existing stuff arise from?
You're just talking over me, aren't you? We're going to end the conversation here? Is this where the conversation ends?
All right. I'll be respectful.
Thank you.
Let me just say, your friend Toast also was talking over me a lot of the time. So
I don't. We're not playing by your rules. We're playing by our rules. Rule 1 is don't overtalk me or the other moderators.
I see.
Right. I'm trying to explain this concept to you. It's going to take more than one comment. Right. This is obviously a point of contention. I'm trying to rectify that. I'm trying to clear that up. So the question of where did the set of all things come from is nonsensical in that it assumes there was a state where the all stuff wasn't there. No one is in the model that we're going with, that on my side of the camp, it didn't come from anywhere. It's always been there. The set of all things has always been there. It's just the things were in different locations. Just like the 3 balls. The 3 balls didn't come from anywhere. They were always there. At t equals 0, they were there. And at t 1, 2, and 3, they were there the whole time. So asking where they came from doesn't make any sense. They didn't come from anywhere. Temporally, you can ask this question. Where were the balls temporally speaking before t equals 3? Well, they were in the spot of t equals 2. That's where they were. Now, you're wanting to talk about the infinite regress? Yes, this would entail that for every event, there is a prior causal event. That's the inference. Now, if that's infinite, that's fine. There's no contradiction there. It's just saying that for every moment, there's a prior causal event. Not that anything came from anywhere.
Well, how can you reach the current moment if every moment previously has a prior causal event? You're
misconceptualizing infinity. So where is infinity on a number line? Or let me ask it this way. Let's start at the number 0, okay? How far away, what number do I have to count to get to infinity?
You don't. You just continuously count backwards.
Just keep, or forwards. Any direction you want.
Or forwards.
You're never going to get to it.
exactly
So
what I
what
said.
what two numbers are an infinity apart? What two numbers are infinity? Just whole numbers.
None of them. That's my point.
None of them. Exactly. So when you ask, how do we get back to an infinity moment? There isn't one. There is not.
I didn't ask that.
Listen, you don't have to be so goddamn defensive on this shit, right? I'm speaking
I'm not
from
being
my
defensive. I
brain.
just
You
clarifying what
are,
I
because you're
said.
saying, well, I didn't say that. You are saying that in the way that I
didn't say
understand you
that.
to say it. The way
All
that
right,
I
well, you can
understand you to say
understand
it. When you're asking about where it came from, that is a necessary entailment, right? That's what I'm trying to clear up. It didn't come from anywhere. That's your presupposition. Your presupposition is that there was a state where the set of all things wasn't there, and then it was there, and you're asking, how did it get there? In my model, it didn't get there from anything. It's always been there in one state or another. Now, there's no problem in this description of the model of an infinite regress. There's no problem, because in my model, there's no problem with an infinite point. There's no point on the timeline in infinite. No two moments in time are infinitely far apart. No two moments. You see what I'm saying? No two moments. Whether you go back a Googleplex and you go forward a Googleplex, that's what, Googleplex to the fourth or some shit? I don't know. I'm not great at math. That's a finite number. There's not going to be two moments in infinity ago. So I don't need to account for that in my model. That's not a problem in my model. Maybe in your model it's a problem, but not in my model. For every event, my model is, for every event, there's a prior causal event. So to find a contradiction there, good luck, because there's not one. There's no contradiction in saying this moment was preceded by another moment. Where's the contradiction? See what I'm saying? It's perfectly fine to say that.
Sure.
That's what the inference of this argument gets you to. This is an anti-creator argument. The reverse Kalam.
I see. Yeah, I mean, I can see how you would think it's a very strong argument. You didn't allow me to. All right, you didn't allow me to. Even though I asked, you didn't allow me to amend what I was saying. When I was trying to say, where did the pre-existing stuff come from? I actually wasn't presuming my world. I was actually trying to presume your world, because I wasn't trying to get at the fact that there was nothing and then there was something. I am actually trying to live in your world. I understand that most creationists probably come at you with their worldview. I was just trying to see where your argument was coming from. So what I would have amended my statement to, if you didn't scream belligerently over me when I attempted to interrupt, was I would say, okay, where did the pre-existing stuff? In premise one, you say everything that is observed to exist arises from pre-existing stuff.
Yeah,
you
agreed to that. You have never seen anything come from nothing.
Sure. So
you agree to that.
Okay, so all I was going to ask was, where did the pre-existing stuff arise from? And you answered the question.
That has nothing to do with premise one.
I understand. So you answered the question, and I'll give you that, even though I never ended up amending my statement. But your rebuttal against what I was saying ended up being an assumption of like a million other things that I had never said. Because you did this whole thing about, this is where you come from and this is what you believe, and you never even asked me a goddamn question.
This is trivial. This is meta. Let's just stick to the topic. You think I misrepresented you? That's fine. Let's move forward. I don't think I did. Let's just move forward. Address what's actually being said on the table.
Yeah, so I will get to that. If you can have your monologue, I can have my monologue too. So
can you? You think we're fucking equals here? You're not. You could fucking leave if you're gonna act like we're fucking equals. We're not. I get the fuck. This is my goddamn room. You're here because I'm here. You understand that? Because I and the rest of the people who are regulars in here hang out here and facilitate the conversation. I run a tight fucking crew here, right? This is how we do things. You don't get the monologue. I get the monologue. If you can't handle that, that's fine. I understand. Click the disconnect button. Quit crying about it.
I bow down to you, all important.
No, you don't need to do none of that shit. Just don't challenge me. Just don't challenge me. That's all you got to do. You don't got to cuck. You don't got to cuck. You don't got to apologize. You don't got to be sorry. You don't got to do none of that. Just don't challenge me, because you're going to fucking lose. Guaranteed you're going to lose that fight 100% of the time. So just don't do it. Don't go there.
It's like you would show up into his house and start a fight with him. The police are going to arrest him. That's basically what you're doing. You come in trying to sit there and take over the conversation. And you say, well, you had your he's a Lutheran. This is his room. And for the grace of this room, he allows us to talk. And he even allows me. This is one of the nicer rooms, especially for women in this server.
Yeah, and as a woman myself, I'm trying to tell you that I just wanted to have my time, that's all.
As a woman yourself? What?
Yeah.
You
identify... I mean, you can identify as a woman. You just don't sound like one. Cool, man.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah.
Maybe you'll get your time, dude. You'll get plenty of time. Right? If you do it my way, you'll get all the time you need to fucking speak.
All right, I was just trying to talk. I'm sorry that I...
Again, I don't need I don't care about your apology.
I know how important this is to you. This is your whole thing.
Just carry on.
Very important. Yeah.
Are we done? I guess we're at the end of the road, right? You're done?
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna every time I
or ma'am, if you decide to change, you could come back. But we're gonna move on since you're shut down. Since you're done.
Very cool. You gonna ban me, or can I just stay in here and talk until you end up muting me and banning me?
I mean, are you gonna be annoying?
No, I'm not.
Well, I just think it's here.
Yeah, this is all meta. I want to get back to the conversation. I've said this multiple times.
I know. I was trying to talk too, and I didn't know that I would step on your toes.
Go. Enough meta. Done with the meta. Let's go. Get back on topic.
Okay.
Go.
Anyway, so what I was going to say was, I don't think the infinite regress necessarily causes a contradiction, because it probably does, but I don't have the capacity to argue that right now. I've heard arguments for it. The only question is, if every causal event has another which precedes it, then how do we reach the current causal event?
From the prior event.
But that event has a prior event that goes on infinite.
Listen, I've already truncated the entire thing for you. I'm going to state it again. Every event, I'm going to do it again. Okay. For every event, listen, 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 no talk, zero noise, zero. For every event, there is a prior causal event for every event. You don't need to ask me about any other event now. 100% of all the events ever, all of them have been encapsulated in that fucking statement right there. For every event, there is a prior causal event. That is the statement. I need to know by either that statement or an application of that statement, where is the contradiction?
Yeah, you can't reach the current causal event.
Where is the contradiction?
Doesn't have to have a contradiction.
Yes, it does. Yes, it. No. That's what possible and impossible means. Logically,
okay, what's your response?
Logically, if it is possible or impossible is determined by that.
Okay.
You understand? A contradiction. So where is the contradiction? If you can't identify the contradiction, it's possible, logically.
So I'm assuming you've heard the Grim Reaper analogy, so I don't have to go down it.
It's a bad argument, yes, and it's a bad argument.
Tell me why it's a bad argument.
Because they don't address the argument. The argument is, for every event, there is a prior causal event. That's the argument. It's not that an event started. That's the misconception. That there is a beginning event. There is no beginning event. There is no person who has to pull a trigger to start a chain of events. There is no chain of events. That is a measurement, a memory of the past. There is no past, though. That's just a reference point. When we reference the past, what we are really talking about is the state of all matter and energy at some increment ago. It could be a second, a minute, a Planck length. It could be a billion years. It could be any increment we want it to be.
There's another thing that's baked into that previous question, which is, how do we get there? And what you left off of that question was, from where? And at that point, you have to pin a point on the line. And we already know how that story ends, because between 2 points is never infinity. Your idea of never get there from where? Your question is loaded.
Me?
It's garbage.
My question?
So here's the fun thing. If you have a line that goes on forever one way and forever another way, you can still draw an intersecting perpendicular line at any point.
Yeah, but that assumes that you're not moving across that line.
Why
You
are
don't
we
have to
talking
be.
about geometry? What the fuck?
Well,
Sure,
he's
you
saying
can-
that like
so
you
I
can't
could
ever get
observe
to a
any moment
particular
on the
point
line.
on that line because it goes forever back one direction and forever back another direction. That doesn't prevent you from drawing a perpendicular line at a particular point along that line that goes infinitely one way and another way.
Sure, but we don't exist on a separate perpendicular line. We exist along the infinite
You
line.
can identify
So the question
that
is,
where you draw a perpendicular line, that is a particular point along that infinite line. So there's not a problem.
yeah, I agree that there are points along the line, but we do
Right.
not exist drawing points along the line. The Grim Reaper analogy, for example, actually, I don't believe that it's a bad argument for the reason that you stated, because I think you're misrepresenting it. The Grim Reaper analogy simply asserts that two things are true. One, an infinite number of things occur, an infinite number of preceding causal events, and two, we reach some end. So those are the two things that have to happen for the Grim Reaper analogy to be fulfilled. Within that analogy, though, those 2 points can never be fulfilled. Either you have an infinite number of things, or the guy gets killed by Grim Reaper.
That's just nonsense.
It doesn't assume that
It's
we
just
start from
complete
anywhere,
and total
though.
nonsense.
There is no start from anywhere within that analogy. It
Bro,
simply
I'm
states
telling you,
that
the only response I can give you is it's nonsense.
all right.
What's your analysis there?
So the
You say it
analogy
can't happen.
is-
Why can't that happen?
Okay, so this guy has to get killed, right? By the Grim Reaper. But before every Grim Reaper kills him, one precedes it. So let's
That's
say
exactly what I was
Reaper.
arguing against, dude. You fucking lying sack of fucking shit, dude.
What?
It's disgusting. Like, I literally addressed this in like a lying piece of dog shit. You're like, that's not the point.
I don't believe you addressed it because you're assuming
exactly
because
right.
you
Because
your entire
because you're not interested in listening.
I listened.
You're in here
entire...
looking for a monologue to be fucking heard. That's what you want. You're not getting that. You're getting challenged. You're the one in the fucking hot seat.
Okay, so I'm just gonna ignore that. Basically,
wait, hold on.
Yeah, we're just gonna ignore that. Now shut the fuck up. Click disconnect. Get the fuck out. Please never come back. Go fuck yourself.
Wait, isn't the whole purpose of the Grim Reaper analogy that at least one of the Reapers is going to kill Fred?
Yeah, that's what he's trying to say, is that there's a contradiction. There's an infinite set of time before the event at which the Grim Reaper actually gets there, so the Grim Reaper can never fucking do it.
I elucidated the shit out of that guy.
Get wrecked, nerd. Got fucking dominated, dude.
Absolutely dominated.